Hi, I'm Drew Malone here in Anchorage, Alaska at my shop, Lightwave Glass Studio, and I'm going to give you a glass cutting demonstration. Let's start by talking about tools. We use two sets of tools in the demo, the glass cutters and the glass pliers. The glass cutters are all very similar no matter which kind of cutter you buy. They're a wheel with a handle on the end. These are Toyo cutters. I think they're the best cutters in the marketplace. And you can see there are several different handles here. The pencil style, this one, is the most popular overall because you use it like a pencil. You can hold it in the hand like so, like a pencil, or you can put it up in the palm like so. What's important is you have a comfortable grip. The pistol grip is great for people who have any kind of issues with their hands. It's a full grip handle. It doesn't take a lot of exertion to get a good quality pressure up. It's a little more difficult to steer because you have to steer it with your hand and your elbow a little more. This is the saddle cutter. Goes up in the hand like so. It's a little small for my hand, that's why I don't use it. But for some people, it's a great way to go. Very controllable, small, steerable cutter. We'll also be using several pliers. We'll be using the standard breaking plier. You may notice it has a flat jaw and a curved jaw. Flat jaw always applies the pressure down, and the curved jaw is the fulcrum. And a plier called a running plier. This is used to break the glass, and if you look closely, you'll notice it has a curve to the jaw. This is a plier that you can put on the glass and squeeze and automatically break the glass. There are three components to cutting glass. The first one is the quality of the score line. The score line is obtained by rolling the cutter across the glass and compressing the glass and making it weak along the score line. So it is important that we get enough pressure with the glass cutter to get a good quality score, but not press too hard and fracture the glass, which we'll see in a minute. Now, when we start to cut the glass, we'll always cut from one side to the other. The best way to learn this, starting out, is to listen. You should hear a light crinkling sound as you roll the cutter across the glass, very similar to this. If we press too hard, we get a poor score line, and if we press too light, we get a poor score line. The sound is the best way to get an idea when you're starting out of what the pressure is. Some glasses will make no sound at all. Other glasses will make a lot of sound when they're being scored properly. But in general, most glasses will make that light crinkling sound when you roll the cutter across them. The second component to breaking the glass is how you grab it and bend it to break it. We want the force right up on the score line and equal on both sides. We grip with the thumbs and we bend down and apart, is what I call it. Some people call it up and apart. And we bend equally on both sides of the score line. We do not hold with one hand and bend with one. We bend with both hands. And the glass breaks from one side of the sheet to the other. So if we have a piece of glass that we're going to cut off that is very narrow, and we can't get a hold of it with our hand, at least on one side, this is what we use the plier for. The flat jaw is our thumb, the curved jaw is the fulcrum, and we put it on like so. The plier doesn't go on like so, but it goes on like so, and we bend with both hands. The plier is basically an extension of your hand onto the glass where you can't get a hold of it with just your plain hand. The running plier is a nice plier, not as versatile as the breaking plier, but it's very easy to use. There's a line on the top of the plier that you line up with the score line. You just put it on and squeeze, and the bend in the jaw bends the glass very evenly on both sides and breaks the glass. It's a very easy plier to use, but not as versatile as the breaking plier. The third component is how much glass we try to remove at one time. And I have done a drawing in black ink here so that you can see what's going to happen with my score lines. We have our finished cut here. We're going to scoop this out and leave this hole. We're going to score several score lines in here, and each one is going to become successively straighter till we end up with a gentle curve on the outside. I'll mark a line here for me to follow, like so. I like to start from the inside and work out. It's easier for me to judge my spacing from working inside to out instead of starting on the outside and trying to work in. I end up running out of space in different areas. So I've scored the finished cut. I'm going to step back 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to parallel that around there. And then the next one, I'm going to thin the tails and thicken the center part so that it becomes a little bit straighter. And the next one's going to become a little bit straighter and a little bit straighter till the outside one is just a gentle curve. I'm going to use my breaking plier, and I'm going to change my grip. I'm going to be holding it like this, but I'm going to be putting pressure on the opposing side of the score line with my thumb and index finger, and I'm just going to go ahead and break that out. Now that's just a snap and break like our other breaks were, but we want to do something a little different here. We want to start the crack without letting it get away from us. We want to slow it down and take control of it. So I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure. You're going to hear it start. You can see the silver line, that's the crack. It ends right there. And if you watch closely, I'm going to move up a little bit. You can see it move around. Here it comes. Oop, came out of there, a little too easy. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Put a little pressure on it. Change my grip, how it comes around. You might be able to see that move. Hear it come out the other side. Okay, now it's cracked all the way around, but it's such a tight fit it just doesn't fall out. So I'm going to take it at the tails and jiggle up and down and pull out just lightly and back that out. Now, the way to learn to start this crack is to get set up on your score line, put a little bit of pressure down and all the way off, and a little more down and all the way off. And you keep doing that until one time you put just a little more pressure on it and it goes tick. If you just bend harder and harder and harder and harder, it takes a lot more force to start the crack than it does to move it. So you just follow through, you snap, and whatever's going to happen happens. And we don't want that. We want to slow it down, take control of it, walk it around, comes out the other side, ease it out of there so that we get a very successful shape. If I can get this next one where that's under that line, there it is. Can't see it under that marker. Walk it around, and there it is, out of there. And there's our shape cut out. Now, if we want to cut the shape that goes in there, we will use the same process, but it's a little faster, doesn't take as many relief cuts. We want that same strip, but now we want it around the outside. So I'm going to just block this out, get rid of this extra material. So now we have the strip around the outside of the shape. And I'll go ahead and score that and break it. Okay, and there's our shape that would go in there. Pretty close. Okay, those are the steps to cutting glass into shapes. Remember the 3 parts to cutting the glass. The first one, quality of score line, not too hard, not too soft. Number 2, how you bend the glass to break it. The force should be right up on the score line and equal on both sides. Number 3, how much glass you're trying to remove at one time. And this is where the value, you have to make a judgment about the difficulty of the shape, how hard the glass is you're cutting. You're better off with an extra relief line than one less and break the piece. So don't try to remove too much glass at one time, a very common mistake in trying to cut shapes.